Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Sodhra Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Beauty Founder Shri Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapatakamallam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindha Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 7. Lord Shiva saves the universe by drinking poison. Verses 1 to 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The summary of the 7th chapter is as follows. As described in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing in his incarnation as a tortoise, dove deep into the ocean to carry Mandara mountain on his back. At first, the churning of the ocean produced Kalakuta poison. Everyone feared this poison, but Lord Shiva satisfied them by drinking it. With the understanding that when the nectar was generated from the churning, they would share it equally, the demigods and the demons brought Vasuki to be used as the rope for the churning rod. By the expert arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons held the snake near the mouth, whereas the demigods held the tail of the great snake. Then, with great endeavor, they began pulling the snake in both directions. Because the churning rod, Mandara mountain, was very heavy and was not held by any support in the water, it sank into the ocean, and in this way the prowess of both the demons and the demigods was vanquished. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then appeared in the form of a tortoise and supported Mandara mountain on his back. Then the churning resumed with great force. As a result of the churning, a huge amount of poison was produced. The Prajapatis, seeing no one else to save them, approached Lord Shiva and offered him prayers full of truth. Lord Shiva is called Ashutosha because he is very pleased if one is a devotee. Therefore, he easily agreed to drink all the poison generated by the churning. The goddess Durga Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, was not at all disturbed when Lord Shiva agreed to drink the poison, for she knew Lord Shiva's prowess. Indeed, she expressed her pleasure at this agreement. Then Lord Shiva gathered the devastating poison, which was everywhere. He took it in his hand and drank it. After he drank the poison, his neck became bluish. A small quantity of the poison dropped from his hands to the ground, and it is because of this poison that there are poisonous snakes, scorpions, toxic plants, and other poisonous things in this world. Let's read text 1 and 2. Shri Shuko Vacha Tena Garajama Mantriya Falabhagena Vasukim Parivviya Giro Tasmin Netram Abdhim Mudanvita Are Bhire Surayatta Amritarte Kurudvaha. Shukdev Goswami said, O best of the Kurus, Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods and the demons summoned Vasuki, king of the serpents, requesting him to come and promising to give him a share of the nectar. They called Vasuki around Mandara mountain as a churning rope, and with great pleasure they endeavored to produce nectar by churning the ocean of milk. Text 2. Hari Purastaj Jagrihe Purvam Devastato Bhavan. The personality of Godhead Ajita grasped the front portion of the snake, and then the demigods followed. Text 3. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Purusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhihi. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nakrinimo Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. Prakhyata Janma Karmabhi. Mataji. Tannai Chandaitya Pataya. Mahapurusha Cheshtitam. Nagrinima Vayam Pucham. Aherangam Mangalam. Svadhyaya Shruta Sampanna. prakhyata janma karmabhihi. That arrangement. Na aichan, not liking. Daityapatayaha, the leaders of the demons. Mahapurusha, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Cheshtitam, attempt. Na, not. Krinimaha, shall take. Vayam, all of us, the Daityas. Pucham, the tail. Ahe, of the serpent. Angam, part of the body. Amangalam, inauspicious, inferior. Swadhyaya, with Vedic study. Shruta, and Vedic knowledge. Sampanna, fully equipped. Prakhyata, prominent. Janma karmabhi, by birth and activities. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The leaders of the demons thought it unwise to hold the tail, the inauspicious portion of the snake. Instead, they wanted to hold the front, which had been taken by the personality of Godhead and the demigods, because that portion was auspicious and glorious. Thus the demons, on the plea that they were all highly advanced students of Vedic knowledge and were all famous for their birth and activities, protested that they wanted to hold the front of the snake. Purport. The demons thought that the front of the snake was auspicious and that catching hold of that portion would be more chivalrous. Moreover, Daityas must always do the opposite of the demigods. That is their nature. We've actually seen this in relation to our Krishna consciousness movement. We're advocating cow protection and encouraging people to drink more milk and eat palatable preparations made of milk. But the demons, just to protest such proposals, are claiming that they are advanced in scientific knowledge, as described here by the words Swadhyaya Shruta Sampannaha. They say that according to their scientific way, they have discovered that milk is dangerous, and that the beef obtained by killing cows is very nutritious. This difference of opinion will always continue. Indeed, it has existed since the days of yore. Millions of years ago, there was the same competition. The demons, as a result of their so-called Vedic study, preferred to hold the side of the snake near the mouth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead thought it was wise to catch hold of the dangerous part of the snake and allow the demons to hold the tail, which was not dangerous. But because of a competitive desire, the demons thought it wise to hold the snake near the mouth. If the demigods were going to drink poison, the demons would resolve, why should we not share the poison and die gloriously by drinking it? In regard to the words Swadhyaya Shruta Sampanna Prakhyata Janma Karmabhi, another question may be raised. If one is actually educated in Vedic knowledge, is famous for performing prescribed activities, and has been born in a great aristocratic family, why should he be called a demon? The answer is that one may be highly educated and may have been born in an aristocratic family, but if he is godless, if he does not listen to the instructions of God, then he is a demon. There are many examples in history of men like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and Kamsa, who are well educated, who were born in aristocratic families, and who are very powerful and chivalrous in fighting, but who, because of deriding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were called Rakshasas or demons. One may be very well educated, but if he has no sense of Krishna consciousness, no obedience to the Supreme Lord, he is a demon. That is described by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 7:15. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha maya yapahrita jnana asuram bhavamashritah. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Asaram bhavam refers to not accepting the existence of God, or the transcendental instructions of the personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita clearly consists of transcendental instructions imparted directly by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But asuras, instead of accepting those instructions directly, make commentaries according to their own whimsical ways and mislead everyone without profit even for themselves. One should therefore be very careful of demoniac godless persons. According to the words of Lord Krishna, Even if a godless demon is very well educated, he must be considered a mudha, naradhama, and maya paritagyan. Tannai chandaitya patayo mahapurushacheštitam nakrinimo vayam puchham maherangam mangalam swadhyaya shuta sampanna prakhyata janma karmabhi. The leaders of the demons thought it unwise to hold the tail, the inauspicious portion of the snake. Instead, they wanted to hold the front, which had been taken by the personality of Godhead and the demigods, because that portion was auspicious and glorious. Thus the demons, on the plea that they were all highly advanced students of Vedic knowledge and were all famous for their birth and activities, protested that they wanted to hold the front of the snake. The chapter is entitled, Lord Shiva Saves the Universe by Drinking Poison. And we're just beginning the actual churning activity, churning the ocean of milk by the demigods and the demons. So this story continues for several chapters, and very many interesting pastimes are going to unfold. This pastime is actually quite special because the Lord is directly engaged in the churning himself. The Lord is present throughout this pastime from beginning to end in many different features and many different forms. So we know originally the demigods went to the Lord for shelter. They've been driven out by the demons. And the Lord himself devised this method by which the demigods could be reinstated, and they could also gain this nectar, the Amrit. We'll talk a bit more about the Amrit later. And for this, the demigods and the demons both had to join forces. Neither party would be sufficient to carry out this activity. And so the demigods approached the demons, they declared a truce, and they decided they'll together churn the ocean, produce the nectar, and share it equally. So the first task was to carry Mandara mountain to the ocean of milk. And together the demigods and demons uprooted the mountain. They were carrying it a very long distance, but eventually it was becoming too heavy, and many of the demigods and demons were crushed underneath the mountain. So not a very good beginning when you're trying to become immortal. So many of them were crushed to death under the giant Mandara mountain. Once again, the Lord came to rescue them. He appeared on the back of Garuda, picked up the hill with just one hand, something which the entire host of devas and daityas were struggling to lift together. The Lord simply placed it on the back of Garuda with one hand and flew to the ocean of milk. And simultaneously, just by his mere glance, he revived all the crushed demigods and demons. So now the Lord is present there, just as if he's one of the demigods. He's present there on the demigod side, and he's gone to start the churning by catching hold of Vasuki's head. And here, the demons are protesting. They want to hold the head. It's like two little children fighting over a toy. Oh no, I want that one, I want that one. And originally, actually, the Lord had told the demigods, the demons are now in power, so you're kind of coming from the lower position, so we just agree to whatever they propose. So the Lord, in the previous chapter, he told the demigods this. So here he is also following that. We'll see in the next verse that he'll very peacefully, without any argument, the Lord and the demigods will go and catch the tail of Vasuki. Of course, later on, what will happen is that Vasuki is going to start vomiting poison and fire, and the demigods, and even more the demons who are next to the mouth, are going to be choking and coughing and getting burnt. But because the demigods were pulling the mouth, the demons want to be contrary. Prabhupada talks about that. The daityas must always do the opposite of the demigods. So soon they're going to start the churning, and again there'll be another disaster when the mountain slips into the ocean because there's no support. So then the Lord appears again as Kurma, and he dives into the water and supports the entire mountain on his back to balance it. Jayadev Goswami sung about this very beautifully in his Dashavata Stotram. Kshitiriha vipulatare tishtati tava prishthe Dharani dharana kina chakra karishte Keshavadhrita kurma sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. By the revolving of Mandara mountain on the back of Kurma, to describe that he was feeling some pleasant scratching, and actually there was a depression made, a scar left on his shell by the movement of the mountain back and forth. Chakra, a round mark was left on his shell. If that wasn't enough, the Lord again appeared on top of the hill in a 1,000-armed form to keep it steady. So it's just amazing to see how the Lord is so much involved in this pastime. Then, of course, he's going to appear with the nectar as Dhanvantari. Then when the demons steal the nectar, he's going to appear as Mohini Murti to cheat them of it. And later on, at the very end of the pastime, when the demigods have all drunk the nectar and the demons are suddenly realize they've been cheated and they start to fight. By this time, the Lord has departed. But strangely, though the demigods have drunk the nectar, and in the beginning of the battle, they're actually defeating the demons. But once the demons resort to different kinds of Maya, Shakti, black magic, illusions, then the demigods are being slaughtered. And once again, they pray to the Lord, and the Lord has to come to rescue them. And then he kills many of the demons. But of course, despite having drunk the nectar, which is supposed to make them immortal, so many of the demigods have just been killed in the battle. So this nectar, to me, seems to be quite overrated. There's so much endeavor to get this nectar, but right now many of them are going to be killed just a few minutes after drinking the nectar. And what is actually this nectar? Immortality, we know very well from Bhagavatam that there's no such thing as immortality in this material world. So perhaps it gives them a very long life and healthy, strong, but immortality is not possible in the material world. Here Hiranyakashipu is mentioned. He, of course, was the original personality seeking immortality. And even Lord Brahma said, I'm also not immortal, so there's no question of immortality. So this Amrita is a byproduct of this pastime. But the real nectar for us is to read about how the Lord is maneuvering and present in every stage of this Leela in a very wonderful way. This pastime is very, very famous, not just in India, but even in other countries where the Vedic culture was spread. Who here has been to Bangkok Airport? There must be some more. Been to Bangkok Airport, the main airport. When you leave immigration, there is this massive statue, deity pretty much, of this pastime. And there are like a dozen asuras, a dozen devas, maybe more. The Lord is on top. The mountain is there, Vasuki is there, and they actually do worship there. I've seen people offering incense and flowers, and every day thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who are passing through Bangkok Airport, they have darshan of this pastime, of the Lord there. And it's thousands of people take photos every day, they, selfies and the whole thing. Even in Angkor Wat in Cambodia, the famous temple there, this pastime is depicted. So it's a very, very famous Leela of the Lord. And I think a major reason is because the Lord appears in so many different stages of this pastime. Dhanvantari, Mohini Murti, Kurma, and then as Vishnu himself, he's there personally churning. He's on top of the hill. He comes and kills the demons at the end. So a very, very interesting Leela of the Lord. So, as Prabhupada says here, Daityas must always do the opposite of the demigods. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, describes the two classes of created beings, the Daivas and the Asura. Dvabhuta sargaloke esmin Daiva Asura evacha. And so that, in 16th chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, I've already told you about the divine qualities, now I'm going to describe the demoniac. But the same verse is in Padma Purana, but the ending is different. There it says, Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Deva Asuras Tad Viparyaya. So Viparya literally means opposite. So here it says the Daityas must always do the opposite, literally opposite. The two created beings, the divine and the demoniac, Vishnu Bhakta Smritau Deva. So the Vishnu Bhaktas, the devotees of the Lord, they are considered devas. It's interesting how it's worded. It's not saying the demigods are devotees of the Lord. It's saying that the devotees of the Lord are the divine, are the devas. And asuras tad viparya means opposite to that, who is not a devotee, that is the definition of an asura. And very interesting how Prabhupada talks about the cow protection and using of milk, whereas the demons, they say the milk is unhealthy and rather prefer to eat beef. So this is another symptom of Kali Yuga, that what is considered real religion is considered irreligion, a tamasic understanding. So asuras tad viparya, the demons are naturally opposed to the demigods. Whoever is a Vishnu Bhakta is considered a demigod, and the opposite of that is an asura. So it's not necessarily by birth or by nature, it's the devotional aspect which defines who is an asura, who is a devata. So Prabhupada also goes on to give different examples of great personalities in history. He mentions three here: Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and Kamsa, who are very highly educated, very high birth, very powerful, but are considered demons. So it's interesting. Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kamsa, and there are more such personalities. They were very, very qualified. Hiranyakashipu's austerities were unmatched in the history of the universe. When Lord Brahma came finally to bless Hiranyakashipu, he actually spoke a verse saying that no one else is ever going to be able to perform austerities like you have. Hiranyakashipu, the great demon. And we know also from the 7th canto, when Hiranyaksha was killed, there's a whole series of verses where Hiranyakashipu is preaching "you're not this body" philosophy to his relatives, to Hiranyaksha's family, saying, don't worry, we're not the body, soul is eternal. And he quotes Yamaraj, another story of a king who was slain on the battlefield and his family were lamenting. So Hiranyakashipu was speaking very, very nice philosophy. Very austere, very nice philosophy. Of course, his power was unmatched in the three worlds. He took over everything. But he's considered a demon because he was against Vishnu. Ravana was famous for his ability in chanting mantras. He was so expert in Vedic mantras that there's some descriptions that even the demigods would sometimes invite him to be their mantra chanter at their sacrifices. And there's also a description that Ravana was chanting so perfectly that Agni personally wanted to appear from the yajna and bless Ravana with his presence. And Brahma advised Agni, you can go if you want. It's true, Ravana is chanting very nicely, but don't take your wife, Swaha Devi. And Agni didn't really understand why. So when he appeared with Swaha, Ravana, one of his great defects was his lust. So he immediately abducted Swaha Devi, despite being sitting there chanting his mantra so perfectly that Lord Agni was himself impelled to come. So this is the other side. Even when Ravana was approaching Sita in the forest, he dressed himself, or he disguised himself as a sadhu, and he was chanting mantras, approaching Sita Devi's hut, as if he's a genuine, sadhu, rishi, muni living in the forest. And when he revealed himself to Sita Devi, actually it's interesting that this reference is there that Sita Devi was chastising him in different ways, saying that, your attempt to take me will be like swimming across the ocean with a stone slab on your neck, or extracting a tooth from the mouth of a lion. And the other example she gave is like trying to carry Mandara mountain on one hand. We can see that all the hosts of demons and demigods were unable to do that. But who could actually carry the mountain on one hand was the Lord himself. So Ravana had so many great qualifications. There are actually some temples dedicated to Ravana, even today in India. And there are even some communities that worship Ravana. And they actually think Ravana is kind of misjudged and given a bad reputation. And they actually worship Ravana. They even made some petition to the government that on Vijay Dashami, on the day that Ram killed Ravana, and all over India, if you go to any major town, they erect big effigies of Ravana, multi-heads, and a lot of fireworks, and pump him full of bombs and fireworks. And like with this, last time we were in Ujjain, and there was a big, like a open park, and a big procession of people came. There was actors dressed up as Ram and Lakshman and the monkeys, and symbolic burning of Ravana, and huge fire and bombs shooting out in all different directions. Thousands of people came to witness that. So these worshippers of Ravana, they actually petitioned that this shouldn't be allowed, because Ravana is actually, we worship him, he's actually a great personality. Why you're burning him? This is not nice. So they actually worship Ravana. Even there's a TV serial about Ravana, telling things from his perspective, that he's not such a bad guy after all. But this is all misguided, because very, very clearly from that verse, asuras tad viparyaya, if you're not a devotee of Vishnu, no matter how many qualifications you might have, great education, aristocratic birth. Ravana was, I think, great-grandson of Lord Brahma. His father was Vishrava, whose father was Pulastya Muni, one of the Saptarishis, son of Brahma, son of Vishnu. So you can't really get any higher birth than Ravana. Hiranyakashipu, also son of Kashyapa, and Diti, daughter of Daksha. So these are all really, top level by education, by birth, by power. They're unrivaled. But because of deriding, as Prabhupada says here, because of deriding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are called Rakshasas or demons. Kamsa, also mentioned here. And the fourth one who came to my mind is Jarasandha. Prabhupada talks about Jarasandha was actually worshipping Vishnu. He would actually worship Lord Vishnu, but what is he famous for? Coming to Mathura 18 times with his army, trying to kill Krishna. So it's almost inconceivable for us how someone can worship Vishnu, but at the same time try to kill Krishna. And it shows a very kind of shallow understanding of who the Supreme Lord is. Prabhupada talks about the Jarasandha Vaishnava, that someone who apparently is worshipping the Lord, but actually he's trying to kill Krishna. The Jarasandha Vaishnava, interesting term. Yeah, so these different great qualities, as Queen Kunti talks about, Janmaishvarya, Shruta, Shribi, these personalities had all of them in full. Great birth, great opulence, great power, great beauty. But generally these things are considered an impediment to devotional service. But if someone becomes a devotee, then these things can they'll be enhanced. One's nice birth will be perfected if one uses that opportunity to surrender unto the Lord. If one uses one's opulence, one's strength, one's beauty in the Lord's service, then those qualities can be glorified. Otherwise, they're considered like decorations on a dead body, or like the jewel on the hood of a serpent. They'll simply drag one down. They have absolutely no benefit. It's interesting that yesterday Prabhu was talking about this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, Namam Duskritino Mudha. He's based a lot of his class on that, and that's mentioned here in today's purport, referring to the demons here. In fact, if one becomes a devotee, then there's a famous verse that the good qualities that the devatas have will automatically be manifest. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvai gunaistatra samasate sura. So that portion we're quite familiar with. One becomes a devotee, naturally get all the good qualities. Shouldn't be taken too cheaply though, because simply what is actually mean to become a devotee, that has to be qualified and defined. And do we always manifest all the good qualities? We can judge ourselves how much we do that. But the second part of the verse is also reinforcing this point. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna. Harav, very simple. Harav abhaktasya. Those who are not devotees of Hari, Where are their great qualities? Kuto mahadguna, manoretha nasati dhavato bahi. They are simply traveling on the chariot of the mind, speculating in how they carry out their lives. So if one is not a devotee of the Lord, he can't really be considered to have any good qualities. So this is a very kind of heavy statements. Prabhupada says one may be very well educated, but if he has no sense of Krishna consciousness, no obedience to the Supreme Lord, he is a demon. Very, very strong statements Prabhupada is making in this purport. And quoting Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, Namam Duskritino Mudha. So finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about this Amrit. It seems that, the Amrit, as I mentioned, seems a bit overrated. So many demigods were killed right after drinking it. And even if we can consider, okay, they can live very long time, they'll never live beyond the duration of the universe. When the Lord breathes in, the whole universe is dissolved. So how long, can they actually live by drinking this so-called nectar of immortality? Rather, for Vaishnavas, we have a different kind of nectar that we like to drink, and that's reflected in the names of our scriptures. I was just going through the list. So many of our shastras the name Amrita is there. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion. Nectar of instruction, Upadesha Amrita. That Amrita is again there. Chaitanya Charita Amrita, the nectarian description of the quality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Bhagavad Gita in the Gita Upanishad, in the Gita Mahatmya, Shankaracharya gives the example of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvopanishado kavo dogda gopala nandana partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham gitam ritam mahat. Again, the Amrita is there, gitam ritam mahat. That all the Upanishads have become a cow, and Krishna is famous as the cowherd boy. He's a gopa. And Arjuna has become the calf, which is the reason that the cow gives milk. And what is that milk? That is the Gita Amrita. That's the nectarian words of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. And of course, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd verse of the 1st chapter, Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam sukhamukat amrita. Again, amrita drava samyutam. So the real nectar for Vaishnavas is not trying to drink this to have a long, healthy life, but to drink through the ears the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and various bhakti shastras, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, Brihad Bhagavata Amrita. Amrita is mentioned in so many of, just the very title of the book, Amrita is there. So that is the real nectar that devotees are searching after, nectar of the holy name, Purnamrita Swadanam from Shikshashtakam. That's the Amrit that devotees should always be eager to search after. To conclude, I came across one verse when researching this class, which I thought was very interesting and relevant. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, the last chapter of the 12th canto, verse 14. Rajante tavad anyani puranani satam gane yavad bhagavatam naiva shruyate amrita sagaram. Again, amrita sagaram is there in the last line is amrita sagaram, the ocean of nectar. And the translation, all other Puranic scriptures shine forth in the assembly of saintly devotees, only as long as that great ocean of nectar, Srimad Bhagavatam, is not heard. I'll read it again. All other Puranic scriptures shine forth in the assembly of saintly devotees, only as long as that great ocean of nectar, not just a pot of nectar, ocean of nectar, Srimad Bhagavatam is not heard. So, we're very fortunate to be able to attend this Bhagavatam, hear the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam every day here in Mayapur Dham, and that's much more, gives much more permanent benefit than drinking some so-called nectar, which will anyway be, all effects will be destroyed once the universe is wound up. Whereas the real nectar of hearing about Krishna can elevate one to the spiritual platform where there is no more birth and death. One can actually gain actual immortality. Somritatvaya kalpate. Hare Krishna. So any questions or comments? Yes, the default questioner. Do we have a mic or not?
mentioned that when Lord Kormadev was holding up the Mandara mountain and it was scratching his back, that it made a round mark on his back, a chakra. Is there any significance of that mark?
You have something in mind? It's not mentioned here, but Vijaydev Goswami mentions that in his prayer. I mean, it's understandable when the heavy mountain is rubbing, it'll leave some mark, but perhaps there's some esoteric explanation I'm not aware. Maybe someone knows. Janani Vasprabhu had to.
Hare Krishna.
So the original question was, is there a significance behind the mark in Kurma's back? Chakra. Yeah, it's good. It's working. It's working.
Hare Krishna. It's working? Okay. Near to Kenai Natshala, near the Bihar border somewhere, there is a Mandara mountain there. Very big, it's smooth mountain, and it has grooves in it. I think that's what it's, when he's talking about chakra, it means when they coiled Vasuki around the mountain and pulled it, it wore grooves in the mountain. So when you go up this mountain there in Bihar, near Bihar somewhere, you can see it has big grooves in it. They go all the way around the mountain a few times, where it was actually worn the mountain out. So the grooves were going around the mountain. It wasn't like a chakra. I have another question. I don't know so much, but according to this vegan philosophy, it seems that the cows will become extinct. It looks like it wipes out the species of life as a cow because there's no need for them. Nobody takes the milk or anything like that. So who's going to keep a cow? So maybe in the future they'll be in a zoo or something like that, or someone keeps one as a pet. But these vegans, they come under the category of one of these demons that I mentioned.
The question is, do the vegans come under one of these categories? Anyone like to comment on that? I'm not sure what to say. I'd rather not speculate. Someone comment on this point?
I was thinking about this purport in the 12th chapter. Is it on?
Yeah, just do it straight.
This purport in the 12th chapter where Srila Prabhupada says, even if one is not serving Krishna, if they're serving some higher cause, then eventually by Krishna's grace they'll come to his service. And if you look at the intention of most vegans, they're genuinely seeing the suffering of the animals and wanting to do something about that. So even in bhakti, nothing we do has any significance unless there's the intention behind it. So I think for the vegans also it should be looked at first, why are they taking up that philosophy? I meet many also arrogant vegans that are just doing it to be better than everyone else. So maybe those with that mindset may not be so inclined towards devotion and maybe more demoniac, but in most cases they're just recognizing the suffering and doing whatever little they think they can to alleviate it.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Over this side.
Hare Krishna. Is on? That's very nice vision and comment, and it's true the intention is what Krishna sees. And we can also look at the other side. The other side is what would happen if nobody would drink milk? What would happen to the cows? Where would the cows be protected just simply to please the Lord? So it's very risky, this, although the intention is good, but we know that even by touching fire, a child who doesn't know that fire burns, it gets burned. So real protection of the cow is taking care of her, offering the milk to Krishna and drinking. Then if a person is not knowing about Krishna, this is my vision, and still drinks milk, is a way that he pleases Krishna, because the cow is very dear to Krishna. So the intention might be good, but the result might be terrific.
Actually, back there first. No, bro? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Babu, thank you for your nice class. So I have one simple question. You told who are highly educated but not knowing Krishna, they are like demon. So one question came in my mind that I think they are very innocent, and we are devotee, we are preacher. If we not go to them, how they know Krishna? So we blame. Sometimes we blame the non-devotee. They like demon, but we should teach them. We should distribute books to them. So who is the responsibility? They are not knowing Krishna, or we are not preaching towards them?
Yeah, that's a good point. The verse talks about the four kinds, and Prabhupada talks about those who don't accept Bhagavad Gita, don't accept the instructions of the Lord. So if they're ignorant of those instructions of the Lord, then we consider them as innocent. But, Prabhupada talks about people who make commentaries on Bhagavad Gita and mislead everyone. So those are the maya aparita jnana, that their knowledge has been stolen by illusion. So we have to make the distinction who is innocent and who is demoniac. And that's one of the symptoms of a Madhyama Adhikari. He can distinguish and give mercy and preach to the innocent people and avoid the demoniac. So, yeah, the ignorant people, those are our target audience. We try to preach to them. But those who are Maya Parita Jnana, it will be very difficult to reach them, because they're despite knowing Bhagavad Gita, they don't accept Krishna. So it's very hard to get through to those kind of people. There's a little announcement. There's a little flute, silver flute, that was left here in the class yesterday, if anyone knows whose it is. So yeah, I think the ignorant and the innocent, we have to make that distinction. Last question. Man is? Mortal.
Materialistic persons consider that man is mortal, but spiritualistic person consider that man is immortal if they will adopt Krishna consciousness. So how will we make them understand that if you will be immortal if you adopt Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, because that's a basic principle that the soul is immortal, the body is what perishes. Here the demigods and demons are worried about making their bodies immortal. But that's not possible in the material world. The only immortality is when one transcends material world, goes back to Godhead. And the spiritual body that has no birth, no death, no disease, no old age. So that's our preaching tactic, that we can, we stress on the difference between the body and the soul. The soul is immortal, and when the soul is rightly situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, then no more have to undergo these miseries. And drinking the nectar doesn't help in that regard. Rather, we have to, as I said, drink the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So that's the point. The body is going to die anyhow, today, tomorrow, or at the end of the universe. But if we focus on Krishna, then when that time comes, we can gain eternal life in the spiritual world. Thank you. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.